Afternoon, folks. Hey, this is Jeff Fisk at B Steel Creations. Want to take a little time, first day of January, obviously, and Happy New Year, 2026. I spent a lot of time having discussions on night rifles, problems with the ignition system leaking. I've been over that before, and I've got several videos in the past. I've kind of streamlined that some, and I feel like I got it in the right place. We're going to go over the process pretty well from start to finish with night rifle, how to do some upgrades to it, and to get the best accuracy. In my opinion, there's a lot of options. Guys going to probably go against a few things I post here, but that's okay. I feel like for the everyday guy, I can share something with him that'll help him out. So I'm going to start off with first things first. On the modifications, I'm going to do my best to show you in detail where I feel like this really helps the night rifle out. So the firing pin first, well, let's go to the breech plug. The factory breech plug in a night, and then we're talking about the bolt rifles, Mountaineer and ultralight, could be a 50, 45, has a vent liner in it that's soldered in, fixed in it, I guess you'd say. And it relies on this little sealing surface in the barrel. And we all know that, first and foremost, the headspace is terrible from night. They're not consistent, so you want to use a 209 A winch or a Federal 209A primer, and they're just not long enough to seal up. When you close the bolt, they leak like crazy. Everything gets dirty. Then, as pressure builds, especially the 45s, they're terrible about flame cutting the sealing surface on the front, and we've went through all that with smokeless guns and fixed that problem. A couple out there offer great breech plug for that. But once this start leaking, then you're plowing carbon and the threads, everything gets nasty. It just makes a mess. So two options that I offer for that. Some guys want to have, if you need a state where you can shoot Western ignition, you can't do what I call the two-piece breech plug. You just got to go back with a factory style replacement, which I have, is 17-4 stainless. It's spec'd out better than the factory one by far as the flame channel, as far as the distance to the ignition, and then it'll have a tungsten carbide bushing inside of it that is replaceable, but it's going to take hundreds and hundreds of shots for that hole to even change, where the other one, the factory, burns out over time and ignition and accuracy changes. So it's going to have tungsten carbide, 30,000 bushing in it. The key to this plug is made long, and then it's machined per gun to have a proper headspace to compress the 209 primer 3 to 5 thousandths and seal it up. So in doing so, when you get the modification, you get this little tool. It's nothing special. It's 5/32 drill bit, which is what the flame channel is. And you absolutely have to, every 10 to 15 shots, you got to drill the carbon out of that flame channel. As that flame channel fills up, it builds too much pressure. Accuracy goes to crap, and then you start getting primer leaks. And once it cuts the seat for the 209 primer, it's never going to seal again. So this is absolutely imperative. Every 10 to 15 shots, you clean that. It's not a big deal. When you're practicing, you pull the breech plug, you clean it, put it back in, you go again. I'm going to show you that process. The second option or thing, so that you can get option one, you ship me the barrel and the bolt, and we install one-piece breech plug. If you're going to use Western ignition, and you can get by with that in the 50s. If you're doing a 45 cal, I recommend doing the two-piece. And what that is this becomes the removable breech plug. And this insert or sleeve gets installed in the barrel and Loctited in place. It's not going to come out. I can remove it with heat and a proper tool, but it's made to be put in the barrel. And what happens is, now this is sealed in the barrel, and you're relying on a rear sealing breech plug, which we know is better, and that's 9/16 18 thread. So once that's installed in the barrel, this is your breech plug that gets taken in and out, and it seals from the rear. Super fine. So Second option, or third option, I guess, is having the firing pin modified, and there's a great reason for this. The factory firing pin is 170,000. There's a reason they did that, so they can do the Western ignition. But for 209, it doesn't need to be that big. That being that big, the hole in the bolt that this passes through is so large that once you pressurize a primer that's sealed, the battery cup in the primer pushes back into the hole in the bolt, and you got a second strike it a lot of times. Close the bolt again, pull the trigger and fire to push that cup back forward so you can get the primer out. It's stuck. So what I do is modify the firing pin, as you can see in comparison, from 170 down to 100 thousandths. And then there's an insert put in the front of the bolt that I don't think we're going to be able to get that view, but we're going to try. My light's not right. You can kind of see it there. But anyway, there's a threaded insert put in there that reduces that hole down to 105, and then the firing pin's 100. So it has clearance. And this absolutely eliminates. With proper headspace, small firing pin, the primer sticking, you shoot, open the bolt, they fall out. It fixes the gun. Things that's just inherently wrong from the factory rifle. And I get it. They're just selling a factory rifle and they feel like it's good enough, but I want better than that. So that's the modifications to that. We're going to jump over here, and I'm going to make this really quick. I've done this process a couple times. If you look on my YouTube page, you'll find there's many videos on there about blackcorn powder, and you get in the whole conversation about different lots of powder, which it does change velocity drastically. You'll get into an argument about weights and volume. I'm going to give you my straight up truth. I shoot competitively with blackcorn powder, and I have for many years been shooting at a pretty top level, I think, in competition. And I do all my charges by volume. The variance comes in, let's say you decide on your load, and it ends up being, because the 84-120 we all know is it's not real. So if you're going off of 120 by volume, one lot of powder, maybe 91, 93, 88, it's going to vary. But I can assure you your velocities are going to vary drastically. Doing by volume, I've found that the velocities are very consistent from lot to lot. Now, I'm not going to mix lots and shoot like that, but so here's what I'm going to get to. I feel like this is the best option you have. You get yourself a TC Magnum powder measure. It has to be that because it's the only one that's big enough to really measure blackhorn properly with volume and the diameter of the tube. And it goes from 80 to 150. Guys get all messed up because these are not marked on the measure. It's not marked. It's not complicated. If you close it, it's 80. That's where it starts at. The first click's 90, next click's 100, 110, 120. You pull it out to 120 and you take your black Sharpie, so you don't have to do it over and over and over, and you put you a mark around there at 120. I know it's simplified, being a little stupid, but it's a question I get quite a bit. Take that powder measure at 120. I take a mixing bowl that I have in the shop, just sits around here. You take your blackhorn powder. I really recommend you have one of these Pyrodex funnels on the end of it, and you simply are going to take that. It's not no tapping and shaking and all the conversation that goes on. You take that tube, you fill it as fast as you can until it runs over. You swat it off flat on top. And it's flat on top, no tapping, nothing. It's just filled as fast as you can. Dump it in there till it runs over, swipe it off. You can take that and shoot it, and I assure you it's going to be very accurate. Now, if you want to take it one step further, you take the lot of powder you have, and you do this. You put it on a scale and you weigh it. And you do that 20 times or 10. I like 20. And then you have an average. Take that and average it by your 20 if you loaded 20. Weigh them each one, take an average of the 20, and that's your weight. And you can take that lot of powder, which is marked on the side. This is lot 48. And you can write on that can It's 91.5 by weight. Next lot of powder, when that number changes from 48 to something new, do this same process and weigh it, and I assure you that the thing will shoot very close to the same velocity and nothing changes. It's just my 2 cents worth on that topic, and I know that'll get a grief and whatever, but I tell you, I'll say this, that not being prideful, somebody can come with their weight charges and show me how to shoot against volume, and I'll eat crow and walk away. But shot some pretty incredible groups going by volume at 500 yards, 1,000 yards with blackhorn powder, and at 120 by volume, not some hopped up hot rod load, a factory load. So that being said, hopefully that covers that. Next thing we're going to jump into is just my sheer opinion, and to keep it simple. If you got a night 45, 1 in 20 twist, and you want to kill deer, and you want to kill them effectively out to 250, 300 yards, I'm going to recommend without question you do away with the sabots for 100%. You go bullet to bore. You're going to need, at a minimum, simple, a little Lee hand press just like this. This happens to be a Hankins die. You can get one for Swing Lock or Hankins. Something to take note, these new Lee hand presses have a different quick change insert. It's made out of aluminum instead of this old one, it's steel, and it's taller. So in doing that, you need to get the long ramrod or the long push rod that's offered with the die. And Hankins has a short and a long. If you're using this and it's a new one or an old one, you can do the long push rod. I recommend getting a long push rod with it every time. That's a 45 adjustable die. Bullet, couple options I'm going to throw out there. Actually 3, and I'm talking inside of 300 yards on whitetail deer or anything smaller. The first option is a 300 Parker Ballistic Extreme, and you can see you buy them what they call bumped up. He rolls them up to 453. That way you have room to size them. And most of your night rifles are going to come in around a bore size of 451. So that's 453. It's plenty big. I'm going to show it again. See it? He rolls them up, so they're 453. If you get the standard 451s, sometimes they're just going to be a little too loose. That's one option. The other option, which is an outstanding, at the BC is not quite, they're about the same, is the Fury Star Tip 2. It's a bonded bullet. So if you want to hammer shoulder, shoot them in the shoulder, this is a great bullet. The third option is from Parker, and he offers the 270 Emax, which is a really thin jacket bullet. We're not shooting huge velocities with Blackhorn. It's an outstanding bullet. The key there is the BC's higher. It's going to shoot flatter. And if you want to cover 300 yards pretty flat, in comparison to it's a hard option to beat. Now, Western hunters that want to go and shoot elk with a night rifle, especially a Western hunt, I really like the night rifle because a lot of places you're limited open sights. You got to be shooting through peeps. Your realistic yardage is 300 and in, 250 and in for most probably. And there, I would recommend getting hold of Luke at Arrowhead and going to a 325 grain bullet. BC's higher. You're packing a heavier payload. Shoot it with 120 grains by volume. Everything I'm doing here, I'm not playing with a charge. I've shot straight up 120 grain by volume in competition for 10 years. And I don't care what bullet I put in it. I just figure out how it shoots. I may change how tight I load it, whether it's loose or tight, or playing with load tension. And that's the extent of it. So last bullet I'm going to throw out, if you've got a 50 cal night, and that could be something like Colorado where you're required to shoot a 50, or you have a 50 cal thing, contact, I just went total blank on, Dennis at Fury Bullets, and get the 285 grain 503 bullet. and get you a 50 cal sizing die and size them to fit, just like I'm going to show you real quick in this video. So let's go ahead and jump to that. There's videos all over the place about sizing bullets. I'm going to give you a quick tip from me to you. So you got your sizing die, and guys, they have no idea where they're going to start. They don't have a micrometer, no idea where to start. And they can go through expensive bullets and throw a bunch of them away to figure out where they're going to start at. So I'm going to take this die. It's just been ran down by hand until it's got some tension on it. And I'm going to take this sizing die. This is a 453 300 grain Parker Ballistic Extreme. We're going to run it through the die. And you try not to do that, throw it on the floor, but for video purpose. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to set that in the muzzle and try to get it to go down. Obviously, it's still too tight. The die comes with a little wrench. We're going to give it, I don't know, it's pretty tight, so we're going to give it a click there. 3 or 4 numbers. Do that again. We're going to try it in the barrel. All right, so that shot fit. This is key, I think. So you can see we're still on the bearing surface, and there's an ogive. Just with your fingers pushing lightly down on it, it's only going in about halfway. I can assure you, if you try to shove that on in, it's way too tight. So I'm going to give it, because we're still too tight, I'm going to give it about 3 little notches on the die. I'll run it through again. We're going to try that fit again. Now it went a little farther, but it's still too tight. This is where you need a long rod, cleaning rod. You can try to go ahead and jam it in there if you want. It's just going to cause you grief. Knock that out. We're going to give it a couple more. This is just getting your initial fit. All right, so that's going down. The bearing surface is basically flush with the end of the barrel, and now your ogive starts. Typically, that's a great starting point. Now, we may have to loosen that die up a tick or down. If they're just barely tight, you can run them through the die a second pass. But I'm going to tell you, that's going to be really close. And what we're looking for, we want a nice 2-hand fit. So that bullet started. That's just a really, really nice 2-hand fit. The breech plug is not in it, so bullet passes right through. That's a wonderful fit. You just want a nice 2-hand fit. If it's to the point that it almost goes down by itself or one hand, potentially you're going to have ignition problems and really cold because it's not going to build enough pressure. You want a nice snug fit. If you got veins popping out of your forehead and you bend your ramrod all over the place, it's just too tight. These bullets are soft. That's one of the keys with shooting the Parker Ballistic Extreme, the 270 Max, and the Star Tip 2. They're soft, thin jacketed, and they're going to seal up really nice with blackthorn powder. So I hope that helps. That gets you in the game. I'm going to measure this to be fun, but it's typically going to fall around 451. That bullet right there is exactly 0.4512, which is 2/10,000ths of an inch over 451, and it's fitting perfect in that barrel. Some will say, well, I can buy the bullets from Parker and they're 451, or Luke or Pittman or whoever. Well, they may be that one box, and the next box may be 451.5, the other one's 450.5. In the box, you may have variances, and variances in loading pressure is going to be a problem with accuracy. So there's your bullet. So We've done the powder at 120 grams by volume. I'm going to recommend the 45 cal wool wads. I find them to be, in my opinion, the best option. You need to shoot these because you're shooting 209 ignition. You need to get that seal. Secondly, you're out in the weather, and this will help seal the powder charge from the weather instead of just a bullet setting on the bore, and you got gaps in all the rifling. I've talked about it before. Shoot a wad. Ain't gonna hurt nothing, but it will help you. So, wool wads. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you. So this gun has the breech plugins, or has the upgrade in it. You got the firing pin upgrade. You got the 2-piece breech plug. A lot of guys think I'm crazy with this, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. And I promise you to clean up and you'll be phenomenally happy. Let me show you something else that comes with this. So you're going to get this tool with the kit when we update it. 5/32 drill bit with a handle. No big deal, but it's handy. This tube's going to come with it, just a cleaning tube. The purpose of it is, so you've been shooting it, you pull the breech plug out, or let's say you do something silly and you put 2 bullets in it, and you're going to need to take the charge out. So you literally hold the gun barrel down, screw the breech plug out, get it out of the way, screw this tube in there that replaces the breech plug. You've all seen cleaning tubes. They're not nothing fancy new. I should have left the bolt lock to stop out of this. Anyway, that'll screw down into the breech plug. And then you can take you can flip it over and the powder's going to fall out, and you can push that second charge out, or you can push a charge out that you don't want to shoot the gun and have to clean it. You can take that with a clean patch and go right through that cleaning tube, and all the stuff doesn't get in your breech threads. Simple as it's for. So we're going to jump to his breech plug. It's custom fit to the gun. I make sure that plug is dry as toast. Everything's spotless clean. Flame channel's been drilled out. You can see through it. That's key. Make sure you can see through it so the flash hole's clear. I take just simple white Teflon tape. I put 1 wrap on it. Get you some good gun oil, rim oil, Lucas, whatever. You're going to take that plug that's wrapped. I'm going to put just a dab of oil on it, on the threads. Does it seal up? Nothing? Absolutely not. It puts a simple barrier between this breech plug, which is stainless, and the insert that's stainless. Put a little oil on it. Makes it assemble really nice. The key to that is when you take this out to clean it, you can take compressed air or a little brush. It'll clean right up immediately. I don't have to fight with breech plug threads in the gun because it's being barriered all the time with oil and tape. So simple as that. If I had this gun and I'd thoroughly cleaned the bore, I'm going to take a clean patch, ramrod. I'm going to clean it from the rear of the gun forward. I'm going to look through, make sure everything's clear. I'm going to take this plug that's spotless clean. I'm going to drop it in the gun. It'll be the same socket as the factory plug, 7/16. And should add this over in the gun vise, but I don't want to move the camera around. Simply going to run this down. It's got a pretty tight thread pitch, so the tape, you can actually tell it's on there. Now with the rear sealing plug, there's no reason to kill it and get a 3-foot cheater bar to put the plug in it, because then you got to get it back out someday. So just run it down till it bottoms out, just a little tension on it. It's done. Obviously everybody knows about the night bolts. I'm going to talk about that real quick. The proper install your firing pin assembly in the bolt. You all know you got your secondary safety. You run the secondary safety down all the way and you can take that out, right? We know that. Put it in, run it all the way down. And you're going to see all the way down, it's not going to quite line up to where it should be. Run it all the way down, and you want to back it off 1 full turn until your firing pin latch or catch and the body lines up, and you loosen that up, that secondary safety, to drop it in place. And it's going to be setting with this edge straight and your firing pin catch right there. You want that turn clearance here, so when you roll the bolt closed, it doesn't bind up here. It will happen. Some you can't get the bolt all the way lifted if you got this down. So 1 turn out from the base. Firing pin's ready. Little spray lube on that. I like rim oil, Lucas oil. Keep everything lubed up. Check your firing pin. The function. Gun's ready down there. So you're at the range, and I'll get into this as me. I've had guys, I can shoot Blackhorn 10 times in a row in accuracy there. That is absolutely true if conditions are right. You're never going to beat the accuracy of a spotless, clean gun that's dry and clean if you keep it in that condition. Now, there is going to be, if you shoot a cold bore shot, clean bore, shoot a deer, you got to do a follow-up shot. I can tell you the point of impact is going to shift about 1 inch. Typically on a follow-up shot, you can accommodate that because you're going to be loading on a fouled barrel. But at the range work, and if you want to dial in your gun, figure it out, and then I'll follow through with that. It's simple as this. Hops number 9 and 91% alcohol. You mix it 50-50. Get you a little sealed container because the alcohol evaporates. Get something sealed. It can be a Ziploc baggie. You want them just wet. That in the thing, these have been in here for a while. When you push down, you see a little bit of moisture. Here's the telltale sign. So what you're going to do, this gun's ready. You're going to load it, fire it. I'm going to show you this. This is a cheap CVA. The part number is 1530, AC 1530. It's a polymer ramrod with a wooden handle, nothing fancy. Get you a nice spin jag, 2-in-1 cleaner loader. Put it on this rod and take it to the range with you and use it to shoot and have fun because it's easy. You're not going to bang up the rifling or nothing. It's polymer. You're going to take the damp patch. You've just shot it. You're going to run it down, bounce off the bottom a little bit, flip it over, do it again. It's hops and alcohol for Blackhorn. It'll evaporate. And then I take 2 dry patches and follow up with that. Feel like this is really important. 2.5-inch round patches and a spin jag absolutely work perfect. I can tell you that Pro Shot was my favorite, and their cotton patches got really, really thin. You can see through them. So now I use Eastern Maine patches. They're thicker, but they are snug to clean, but they clean really well. That gun's going to come out second patch with about that much fouling on it. So 50-50 hops and alcohol, damp patches. If you go down with a wet patch and it wants to hang up down at the breech plug, the patch is not wet enough. That's a simple way of knowing. If it's sloppy and there's hops flying everywhere, it's too wet. If your patch is sticking at the bottom, the patches are not wet enough. 2 dry patches, 120 grains by volume. Put a wool wad behind it. Get you a quality bullets, as I spoke of. Parker, 275, 300 ballistic extremes, 270 Emax. You need to get them at 453 rolled up, 452, 453. Fury, Star Tip 2, 275 grainers are deadly, bonded bullet. And for the Western guy, when killing elk, go to a 325, something like a Arrowhead XLD, or the long range bullets a little shorter. But if you're going to push them out there, you're going to take a punishment kick with recoil, but you're not planning on shooting it 50 times. You want to kill something. That's a run through of quick and painless. I don't know if there's anything I really missed there. I'm sure I'll get some feedback, but that's the approach to take a night rifle. Now it has a sealed ignition, 209 Federal 209A primers, my 2-piece breech plug, firing pin modification, 120 grains of Blackhorn by volume, quality bullets, shooting a veggie wad or a wool wad behind it. Use that cleaning process between, and it will be the same bore conditions and shoot extremely accurate. I'm going to add a couple things that I've seen on nights, and I'm solid on them. I say they do have an adjustable trigger. You really don't need to monkey with that unless you can lighten it up. Get a good 1-piece scope rail, Picatinny rail, and mount it on there. Blue Loctite it in place. Make sure it's clean. Make sure that's not something that's going to be moving on in the future, and be done with it. Your gun is only going to shoot as good as the scope it's on top of, and of course the guy behind it, but the equipment has to be right first. So you can take this $1,000+ gun, have me do a modification to it, buy a sizing die and bullets. You're going to have $1,500–1,600 in a rifle, and put a junk scope on it, and you're going to have junk. Put a quality scope on it. Buy it. Spend the money one time. Buy you something good, and the gun will last you a lifetime and shoot accurately. I am a big component, and I'll get debates. If you're consistently shooting, loading, and the ramrod's in the gun every time you shoot, have at it. But you got to stay with that program. That's one thing nice with having this at the range. You can clean. This is there. Personally, ramrod would be out of my gun if I'm shooting it. I know it will affect accuracy, but if you keep it in it every time you fire the gun, it is going to be consistent that way too. Something that matters. This ramrod, you don't have to do it. I like doing it. It's got aluminum, excuse me, solid aluminum ramrod, 2-in-1 loader, cleaning jag on the end, set up in the gun. Now, let me help somebody don't hurt themselves really bad or get a kid or somebody hurt. I see it consistently and get calls where guys forgot. So this gun, the guy's putting together a load, and let's say he goes with a 300 ballistic extreme, 120 grains by volume, put it in there, put the wad in it, shove the bullet down. The very first thing you should do is put the ramrod in it, obviously load the bullet, and that's all the way to the breech plug. It's probably going to be sticking up something 3+ inches. And take your knife or something and scribe a very deep line right at the top of the muzzle. That's your witness mark. When you load it every time, and if you don't see that witness mark at the end of the barrel or thereabouts within just a little bit of a gap, something is way wrong. Double charge, 2 bullets. I've seen every scenario possible, and it'll get you hurt really bad. I mean, it'll just get you hurt. So You have to be smart and wise. There should be a witness mark on that, and do it the very first time you load it. Once you get your load that you're going to put in it, mark it. Let's say you change your load or something, that's bugging the crap out of you, that's fine. Paint it over and remark it. But even if you change the bullet, it may change 1/8 of an inch or something on this, or 1/4 of an inch at the most. It's still a reference that's safe. If you've got 2 powder charges, obviously the ramrod's going to be sticking out that far. If you got 2 bullets, it's going to be off a full length of the bullet. You should be able to notice that, but mark your ramrod. So you've took that to the range, you shot it 10 or 12 times, pull the breech plug out of it, clean everything. Let me go to that. Clean everything as thorough as you can with the breech plug in it if you're done shooting. Clean it with the breech plug in it. You get home, then you pull the plug out of it and you clean it up, blow the Teflon tape and oil off of it, use your drill bit, make sure the flash hole's clear, rewrap it, shove it right back in the barrel, run you a couple dry patches in it to make sure there's no residue. If you want to put a little oil on a patch and coat the barrel, absolutely great. Dig it back out to go shooting, run a couple dry patches with some brake clean or alcohol on it. Even use one of your cleaning patches. Go to the range. I don't shoot a primer to foul it. I don't want anything in there. Before I load the gun to go out to the range or go hunting, the very first thing you should do is hold it up to the light with the bolt out of it, and you should be able to see daylight through that hole. If you don't, there's something either restricting the hole or there's a charge in it. And go on that. Guys, do this. Don't put them away with the load. I don't know how many times a year I have a gun sent to me to work on, and it's loaded. Just unbelievable to me. And they say, well, I forgot. Well, it's a terrible forget. If you ever see somebody blow their hand off or worse from a double-loaded gun, it's not something to play with. So I'm probably a little hard on that, but I've witnessed and seen some stuff lately. It's just hard to believe. Just be careful out there. So I'm going to wrap it up with that. I made it as short as possible. There's a lot of stuff. You may have to rewind and go through it a couple times to catch you. But if you got questions, you can email me. It's fisk1967 @gmail.com is your best option to get a hold of me, and I'll do my best to respond to you quickly. Interested in doing a modification of the 2-piece breech plug, 1-piece plug, the firing pin mod, you can reach out to me through my email. I can give you a reference. Shipping cost, as everyone knows, in anything that they do in life, shipping cost has really jacked things up. So it really hurts. You want to do a good upgrade to somebody's gun, and these parts getting made and the material and stuff has went up. It gets to be costly, but if you want something quality, I guess in this day and age, it costs money. But the shipping has gotten really out of hand. But it is what it is. Right now, the 1-piece plug installed in the gun on my thing we're right at $200. It seems salty, but I'm going to probably get hit with $100 in shipping. So depending on where you live, I'm going to have to start doing the shipping costs instead of it being included. I'm going to have to figure the cost for each weapon and price it accordingly to shipping. I just shipped a barrel and a bolt cross country the other day. It cost me $145, and I did breech 2-piece breech plug install for $300. So that's a dead loss. Anyway, we're working on that. So anyway, 2-piece plug right now is around $300 installed in your gun, properly headspace, and your barrel and bolt shipped back to you with insurance. The firing pin mod is $80, so we're at $380, and may adjust it for shipping, but I don't go on about that. Anyway, Happy New Year to you. God bless you. Be safe, and hopefully I helped you out with this video. Thank you.